At the beginning of the story, we are shown a scene from the past featuring the female lead, Minju, who is running a music album shop. Just then, a boy is watching her from outside, who is the second male lead of this story, named Jiang. Now, seeing him looking like that, the male lead, Siuan, says, "How long will you keep watching her from outside like this?" And he takes him inside the shop. Minju, who is listening to songs, sees them both and quickly starts to welcome them, asking, "What can I get for you guys?" But seeing the two of them, she is getting very confused. Seeing this, Siuan asks her, "You're our classmate, right?" So she says, "Yes." Siuan says, "Then why are you acting so strangely? Behave properly, won't you?" After this, seeing Minju listening to a song, Siuan starts asking her about that song. So she tells him the singer's name, but Siuan isn't able to understand it. So he moves a little closer to Jiang and starts asking more about the singer, which makes her confused. So Jiang stops him and says, "Don't you know anything about this singer?" He says, "No." So Jiang says, "Then what do you even know?" After which, Siuan starts to buy the singer's album, but all of that singer's albums were out of stock. So Minju says, "You guys can give me your name and number. When the new album arrives, I'll let you know." So Siuan, deliberately making an excuse, asks Jiang to give his number, but Jiang says, "You're the one buying the album, so you give your number." So Siuan gives his number. After which, they both leave from there, and Minju smiles watching them go. Now, we are shown a woman from 2023 whose name was not Minju but Hanju, and she is working at a company where her colleagues are talking to her. Just then, it's time for her meeting, so she goes to her meeting. And when she comes back after attending the meeting, all her colleagues look at her and start asking, "You're looking so lovely today, are you going on a date?" So Hanju says, "Yes, the person I'm going on a date with is very handsome, that's why I've dressed up like this." After which we find out that the date was not just anywhere, but at a church, because today marked exactly 1 year since her boyfriend Yuanju's death. And at the church, she is remembering Yuanju. Just then, we see a flashback in which she had gone to Yuanju and was telling him, "I am going to New York." So Yuanju is not agreeing to this. Then Hanju says, "Please let me go. It's just a matter of 1 year. Our future will be secure." So he says, "Okay, let's do this. I'll close all my work here and go to New York with you. Together, we'll figure something out there." And he tells Hanju, "I can't live a moment without you." In the present, just thinking about all this, Hanju becomes sad and gets up to go outside. Just then, a woman comes up behind her and says, "You didn't tell me you were coming here too?" So Hanju says, "I didn't know I would come here either. I can't believe Yuanju is dead. Who knows? Maybe he saved himself somehow." So she says, "I didn't believe it either, but now I have accepted it." Then her eyes fall on Hanju's hand, and she says, "Yuanju had given you an engagement ring and you couldn't even wear that." Hanju says, "Which ring? I don't know." So she says, "There was a ring in the box he made for you on your birthday." Hanju had no idea about this. And just then, Hanju remembers how he had given her his gift right before the flight was about to leave. And then Hanju asks him, "Were you making this box for me?" So Yuanju says, "Yes, I wanted to give you a surprise." After which, she opens the box and sees that it was a jewelry box and was very well made. Yuanju tells her, "Open it even more carefully." But she doesn't open it further and starts talking to him. After which, Yuanju tells her once again, "I want to go to New York with you." So Hanju says, "No, you have to stay here. And don't you trust me that you're so scared of me going alone that I might break up with you after going there?" After which, Hanju angrily gets up and leaves. Now, in the present, Hanju opens the entire box but doesn't find the ring. And just then, she sees another compartment, but there was no ring inside it either, seeing which she starts to cry. Now in the past, we are shown Minju whose school bus had left, and just then, Siuan and Jiang are passing by on a scooter. So Minju tells them, "I missed my bus." So Siuan tells her, "You can sit with Jiang. We'll reach school on time." After which she sits with Jiang, but by the time they arrive, the school gate was closed, for which the teacher punishes all three of them. After which, the teacher makes the three of them stand and asks, "Will you three be late from now on?" So they say, "Sorry, teacher." Now we are shown Hanju from 2023, who gets up and is brushing her teeth. Just then, she remembers Yuanju, how she sometimes used to use Yuanju's brush by mistake. So Yuanju used to tell her, "This shows our love. We are a couple, and such things are normal for couples." Then she says, "Does this mean you also use my brush?" So Yuanju says, "Yes, sometimes," and kisses her before leaving. After which she sees on the news that the plane crash story from a year ago is being reported. A plane going to New York crashed due to bad weather. On the other hand, another person is also watching this news, but his face is not shown to us. He had some injury marks on his face. Now, Hanju arrives at her office where she receives a birthday wish message from the company. Just then, she remembers Yuanju, and we see in a flashback that she is working when Yuanju brings her favorite food from an expensive restaurant and a bouquet and wishes her a happy birthday, seeing which she becomes very happy and says, "From now on every birthday, I will think that Yuanju is going to do something special for me," and both of them smile. After which, a female colleague of hers comes and, while giving her flowers, says, "A man gave these for you." Hanju starts to go after the man, but then she gets a call from Yuanju's mother who tells her, "We have registered Yuanju's death." So she stops completely. After which, in the next scene, she comes to meet a friend of hers, who was also Yuanju's friend, and he tells her, "Well, I never touched Yuanju's things after he was gone, but today I saw this box, so I thought I should give it to you." So she opens the box, and inside it was a painting. Seeing it, she remembers when Yuanju was making that box, Hanju had asked a lot, "Who is this girl?" But he hadn't told her. Just then, her friend says, "I thought this girl was you." So she says, "No, it's not me." After which, she comes back home and smiles looking at her pictures with Yuanju. Then she opens her inbox, where she used to message Yuanju every day, telling him her entire daily routine, and she still messages Yuanju. Just then, she gets a message on Instagram from an unknown number. She opens the message, and in it were Siuan, Minju, and Jiang. But Hanju can only recognize Siuan due to his resemblance to Yuanju. She doesn't understand who the other two are. After which, we are shown a scene from 1998 where the teacher had made groups of 3 for an experiment, but Minju was sitting all alone. Just then, Siuan comes to her and says, "Can we join you?" So she says yes, after which he and Jiang sit with Minju. Here in 2023, Hanju says to the person, "Who are you? And whose picture is this? I want to talk to you." But the man is seeing the message but not replying. After which, Hanju goes to her office and shows the picture to her friend. So her friend says, "This is you." But Hanju says, "No, it's not me," and asks her friend, "Can you find out about this picture?" So he checks and says, "This is from 1998 and was posted on a school website, but because this is very old, that website is now shut down and no more information about it can be found." The scene here shifts back to 1998. Siuan comes to the shop again and asks Minju her name. So she tells him her name, after which he leaves from there. Here, Hanju is looking at the same picture and thinking about it, after which the scene shifts back to 1998. Minju wakes up in the morning and gets ready for school, and as soon as she goes to school, she meets Siuan and Jiang. So Siuan says to Minju, "Hi, Jiang wants to say something to you." So Minju says to him, "Yes, go on. What is it?" So poor Jiang gets confused and says, I wanted to say that, yes, our class will be held outside today." And Siuan is enjoying all this and, looking at Jiang, controls his laughter with great difficulty. After which, the 3 of them go to class together, and all the girls are both surprised and jealous to see Siuan with Minju, because Siuan was a very popular boy, whereas no one in the class even knew Minju. And Minju also feels that everyone is looking at her, so she quietly sits in her seat. In the next scene, Minju participates in a race, and Siuan is cheering for her the most, and everyone notices this. Just then, a boy says to Siuan, "You are supporting this girl so much, do you like her?" So Siuan tells him, "No, she is my good friend." Just then, that boy starts speaking ill of Minju and says, "Was she the only girl you could find?" And says, "If anyone says 4 nice things to this girl, she'll get with them." Hearing which, Siuan gets very angry and was about to hit the boy. But Jiang informs the teacher, and when the teacher looks towards them, they go back to their seats. After which, in the class, that boy starts teasing Siuan again and says, "You guys can't compete with me." Just then, Siuan gets angry and beats him up badly, and walks out of the class with an attitude. Here in 2023, Hanju was looking at the same picture, and seeing the picture, she tells her friend, "This is not me, but this girl is much cuter than me. Maybe this is Yuanju's first love, whom he loved." So her friend says, "Are you jealous? You shouldn't be jealous. If I were in your place, I would never be jealous because I would be sure that he only loves me." Hanju says, "I think Yuanju likes me because my face resembles this girl's so much." So her friend says, "Okay, leave all this talk. I have found the shop where this picture was taken." So Hanju says, "But that shop was closed, wasn't it?" So her friend tells her, "Yes, I found out. A new shop has opened in place of that shop. Let's go there. Maybe we'll find out something about this picture there." After which, we see Minju, who is walking with Siuan and Jiang. Just then, Siuan leaves from there, making an excuse about a class so that Jiang and Minju can spend some time together. And as he leaves, he tells Jiang, "Drop Minju home too." After which, Minju starts talking to Jiang and says, "When did you and Siuan become friends?" So Jiang says, "We have been friends since primary school." Hearing this, Minju gets a little sad and tells him, "I have never had any friends." Hearing this, Jiang takes the hearing aid out of his ear, places it in her hand, and tells her, "I haven't been able to hear properly in one ear since childhood. That's why no one would befriend me, and everyone used to make fun of me. And seeing my hearing aid, They would tease me by calling me old. Then one day, Siuan met me, and he came to me and started putting my hearing aid in his ear to see. And then we both became friends because Siuan found Jiang very cool. After which he asks Minju, "Don't I seem old to you too because of this hearing aid?" She says, "Oh no." So Jiang says, "This means you are also our best friend." And hearing this, Minju becomes very happy. So Jiang says, "From now on, whenever I say hi to you, you have to say hi to me too." So Minju says, "Okay." After which, she starts going home with him and at the same time asks him, "If you can't hear, what do you do?" So he says, "I learned to lip read." Here in 2023, we see Hanju, who comes to a cafe with her friend. But that cafe was closed, so they start going back home. And Hanju is waiting for the subway when she sees a boy who looks like Hanju on the other side of the track. So she starts running towards him, but by the time she gets there, there is no one there. Seeing this, she becomes very sad and thinks, maybe it was my imagination. After which, she comes home and feels as if Hanju is with her, so she starts talking to him. Just then, Hanju says, "I don't like you because you're like that girl. I know you're just looking for an excuse to forget me, so you can convince your heart that I never loved you at all." So Hanju says, "Yes, everyone has forgotten you, only I can't. I want to forget you," and starts to cry. Here, we see Minju, who was smiling thinking about Siuan, and here we find out that she likes Siuan. Just then, she hears her parents fighting from downstairs, so she runs down and starts watching them as they are fighting with each other. "I want to keep my son with me," but neither of them was talking about Minju. Seeing which, Minju shouts, "Enough you two, you both only care about my brother. No one cares about me. I'm just a burden, right?" So they say, "No, it's not like that." But Minju angrily walks out of the house, and after coming out of the house, she sits down in a place. Now, Siuan is also passing by from there, and he sees Minju and stops there and sits down next to Minju and says to Minju, "I know if I ask you what happened, you will never tell me. So come on, I will also tell you a secret of mine that no one knows, and then you can tell me, right?" So Minju starts telling him and says, "My parents don't love me at all. They always give importance to my brother. They always forget my birthday too, but they celebrate my brother's birthday very well. And no one asks about me at home nor at school." So Siuan says, "Oh, so that's the matter. Come on, now I'll tell you my secret. After completing this class, I will go to my grandpa in America. And I haven't told this to anyone yet, not even Jiang, because I don't want him to be sad after I leave, because he doesn't have any friends. I will make friends after leaving here, but he can't make friends. That's why I want you to be his friend and stay with him." And hearing this, Minju becomes completely silent. Now the next day, Minju is in the shop when the shop uncle tells her, "The tape you had asked about has arrived." Hearing this, she quickly starts to get Siuan's number from the diary, but then she thinks to herself, "No, I won't call him. I'll give him this tape face-to-face at school." And the next day, she also takes the tape with her to school, but Siuan is playing basketball, so she starts watching him. And a lot of girls are cheering him on, which Minju doesn't like, and she starts to leave. But Siuan sees her leaving and starts running after her. But Minju isn't talking to either of them, after which he says to her, "Why aren't you talking to me? Are you not our friend?" After which, he asks her about the tape and says, "Has that tape arrived yet?" So she says, "No, it hasn't arrived yet." But the tape was in her hand. On the other hand, in 2023, we see Hanju, who is sitting and working in her office. Just then, a girl comes and gives her a parcel and says, "This has come for you." But there was no name written on that parcel. So Hanju is about to open it when her friend tells her, "That Cafe 27 has opened. Let's go and find out now." And when they both go there, the man who was there was none other than Minju's uncle, who looks at Hanju and says, "Minju, is that you?" So she says, "I am not Minju, I am Hanju," and asks, "Can you tell me about the picture?" So he says, "Yes, I know about this picture very well, because I am the one who clicked this picture." So Hanju starts asking about the two boys. So he says, "I know Minju, but I don't remember the names of these two boys because this is a very old matter." So Hanju says, "Can you introduce me to Minju?" So he says, "I would have definitely introduced you to Minju, but she is dead." Then we are shown Minju, who is closing the shop and going home. Just then, Jiang and Siuan come there to surprise her and wish her a happy birthday. And they also have a cake, after which they both ask her to blow out the candle. So Minju blows out the candles, after which they all sit in one place and eat cake. And Jiang also gives Minju a gift that they both had bought for Minju together. And Minju likes it very much and becomes happy. Just then, Siuan says, "Thank goodness you liked this gift. We bought it after thinking a lot." And hearing this, Minju starts to blush and keeps looking at Siuan, which Jiang doesn't like, and he makes an excuse of work and leaves from there. Now Minju and Siuan, who were left alone, are nervous about what to talk to each other about. Just then, Siuan says, "Come on, I'll drop you home." And he makes Minju sit on his bike and starts to go to drop her home. And Minju holds on to Siuan and sits. and is very happy, after which he drops her home, after which Minju gives him the same tape that she had kept with her. So Siuan says, "But I don't have money for it right now." So she says, "It's okay, you can keep this as a gift from me." So Siuan starts looking at the tape on which Minju had written, "Whenever you listen to this, may you only remember its happy moments." Seeing which, Minju says, "Oh, I just wrote that for no reason," and adds, "Thank you for the birthday celebration." So Siuan says, "We asked your uncle when your birthday is, and only then did we plan everything. To be honest, Jiang did all of this. I just supported him, and nothing else." After which, Minju says, "Don't you want to ask me what I wished for?" He doesn't give any answer, yet she starts telling him and says, "I wished that I could become the kind of girl you like. I know you don't like girls like me at all." And here she tells him, "I like you very much." But Siuan says, "I don't like you." To which she says, "You're saying that because Jiang likes me, right?" So he says, "No, it's not like that. I never saw you that way. You are just my best friend and always will be. Please don't mention this again. Everything between us will remain as it was before. We will always be good friends, and don't tell Jiang about this either." And he leaves from there, after which Minju starts to cry because she had been rejected. Here we see Hanju from 2023, who is walking with her friend, and her friend tells her, "Now we have found out that that boy was not Yuanju." So Hanju says, "But I want that boy to be Yuanju because if that's the case, then that girl would be his first love. And I want that girl to be his first love so that I can console my heart and forget him. I can't forget him." And starts crying in front of her friend. Here, Minju comes inside her house, and the whole house is in a mess, and seeing this, she gets very worried and starts looking for her mother and brother. Here, Hanju opens the parcel that she had received, and inside it is the same tape that Minju had given to Siuan, and on it was written, "Whenever you listen to this, may you only remember its happy moments." And reading this, Hanju doesn't understand anything at all. Here, Minju calls her uncle and says, "Mom has run away with my brother, just as she always used to tell Dad. And right now, no one is at home, and I'm also very scared." So her uncle tells her, "Don't worry, I'm coming." Here, Hanju puts on the tape and starts listening to songs, while on the other side, Minju is running out of the house in a panic, looking for her mother and brother. Here, Hanju messages Yuanju, "This is my first birthday that will pass without you." And on the other side, Minju can't find a taxi and gets into an accident. Here, the person with Yuanju's memories reads Hanju's message and starts to realize in his imagination everything that is happening in Minju's life. Just then, Hanju's eyes open in the hospital, and now she has entered Minju's body, and Siuan was with her. Just then, Siuan plays the same tape and makes her listen to the songs, hearing which Hanju also regains consciousness. Here we see Minju, who was trapped in a place and it was Hanju's body, but she thinks, "What place is this?" Now she can see Yuanju in front of her, but she can't talk to him. Just then, Hanju sees Siuan in front of her, hugs him, and says to him, "Where did you go leaving me? I missed you so much." While Siuan is standing there, shocked and confused. Just then, Jiang also arrives there. Siuan says to her, "Min, what has happened to you?" And Jiang also calls her Min. So she says, "Who is Min? Why are you guys calling me Min?" Just then, Minju's memories start coming to her mind, and she holds her head and sits down. So Siuan says to her, "Why are you reacting like this? What has happened to you?" Just then, Siuan tells her his name. "My name is Siuan." So she looks at him in shock because his name was supposed to be Yuanju. Just then, seeing her like this, Siuan gets worried because Minju didn't remember anything. So she asks him the date and year. So Siuan tells her the date and says, "It's 1998. And hearing this, she is even more shocked. And just then, Siuan says to her, "Okay, tell me what happened before the accident." So she says, "You guys celebrated my birthday, after which you guys went home, but I went to my house, but there was no one there. I was looking for my mother and brother, after which I had an accident." Just then, she thinks of her mother and says, "Where is my mother?" Siuan tells her, "Your mother just went home a little while ago to your brother." So she says, "How can she still leave me and go to my brother? She still only cares about him." On the other side, Minju's mother, who had come home, is scolding her son and saying, "Your sister is there in the hospital, and you're here playing games. This is a very bad thing." Just then, Minju's uncle arrives there and says, "What are you doing here? You should be at the hospital with Minju." So she says, "Yes, I am going back. I just came to cook for him." So the uncle says, "You go, I will feed him." Just then, Hanju arrives there and starts fighting with her mother, saying, "You still only care about him? how can you leave me like this in the hospital and come here? And starts hitting her brother. It's because of you that this always happens to me. Just then, she feels dizzy again, and her mother holds her and starts taking her to the hospital, but she pushes them away and says to Siuan, Yuanju, you take me. So Siuan says, my name is not Yuanju, but Siuan. So she says, yes, whatever it is, I don't care. Just take me to the hospital. After which, Siuan takes her to the hospital where the doctors check her thoroughly and start asking her name, height, and age. So Hanju knows everything about Minju, so she easily tells them everything. And just then, the doctor asks her age, and she says 38. But then she remembers that she is Minju, so she says, oh sorry, I am 18. After which the doctor asks her, what happened to you? So she says, I had an accident, which the doctor doesn't seem to believe, but still, they say that she is in shock, and they will discharge her in a day or two. After which Minju's mother sends Siuan and Jiang away from there too. And Minju's uncle asks her, what happened to you? She says, I had an accident. So he tells her, no, you didn't have an accident. Someone attacked you. Now, who it was is not known, but whoever it was wanted to harm you. And hearing this, Hanju is also surprised. Here, Siuan notices that Jiang is not talking to him. So he says, why are you not talking to me? Are you angry with me? Because Minju hugged me? So he says, no, I'm not angry about today's matter, but about yesterday's matter. When Minju confessed her feelings to you, you rejected her. Why did you do that? Do you know how much she cried? So Siuan says, what's this all about? You want me to keep her in the dark, to pretend to love her falsely? So he says, no, I didn't say that. But if you hadn't rejected her that day, she wouldn't have had an accident. She was under a lot of tension. You shouldn't have hurt her like that. So Siuan says, enough? I know you are so angry because you couldn't confess your feelings to Minju. Hearing this, Jiang leaves from there without saying anything. Here, Hanju comes home and her brother is sitting there. Seeing him, she says, I get so angry just looking at you. I don't know how you can be my brother. You are not at all like me. So her mother is trying to quiet her down and asks her to have a drink, saying, you just came from the hospital, so relax. You shouldn't get so angry, and asks her to go to her room. So she starts to leave, but then her brother says, your room is upstairs, not here. So Hanju, to hide her mistake, says, yes, I know. I was just checking if you knew which room is mine. And she goes up to her room, while behind her, everyone is thinking, what did she just say? Here, Hanju comes into Minju's room, opens her wardrobe and says she doesn't wear clothes that are my type at all. After which, she sits down and opens Minju's diary, in which she had written about Siuan. Reading it, she says, what strange things are written here? And in one place, Minju had written, whenever I see Siuan smiling, I forget all my sorrows. Just then, Minju's mother comes there and tells her to come downstairs because the police have come to investigate. Hanju goes down to the police officers, and they start asking her about that day again. So she says, I have already told you people that no such incident happened to me where someone attacked me. I only remember that I had an accident. So they say, if you had an accident, your legs would have been injured, but here your head is injured. And now we will go and investigate the place where we found her. And they thank Minju's mother and leave from there. Now, Hanju comes to the room and starts thinking about who could have attacked Minju. She didn't even have any enemies. Just then, she finds a box in which there was the same music tape that she had received in the future. She was just thinking about it when a noise comes from outside. She looks out the window and it was none other than Siuan, who was calling for Minju and had brought food for her. After which, she goes downstairs and starts eating with him. So Siuan talks about that same day and she says, you rejected me that day, didn't you? He says, yes, but we are still good friends. So she says, no, how can we be friends now? Because you rejected me. So Siuan looks at her in surprise and says, you are Minju, right? Because you seem completely different to me right now. So she says, yes, I read my diary, and after reading it, I thought that my life is very dark. I should change myself a little, that's all. After which, she again calls him Yuanju. So Siuan says, first, tell me who this Yuanju is, and since you woke up from the hospital, why are you only taking his name when you see me? So she says, if I told you the truth, you would think I'm crazy. So he says, no, you tell me. You can share anything with me. We can both share our secrets with each other. So she says, well, before the accident here, I think I had a dream, in which my name was not Minju but Hanju, and I also had a job, and your name was Yuanju. So he says, tell me about Yuanju. So she starts telling him and says, he was very good, very loving, caring. We were very poor then, but he took great care of me. It seemed like he already knew everything. He was very good. And then one day, he died in an accident and left me. So Siuan says, I didn't know you loved me so much that you started dreaming about me. Hearing this, Hanju gets angry and says, why do you think that I love you? I don't love you. I love Yuanju. I can never love you. And yes, get this out of your head that I ever confessed my feelings to you. So Siuan says, I was the one who said that to you, and now you are saying my own words back to me. After which, Siuan says to her, don't be shy, you can tell me that you like me. But she didn't like him at all, so she tells him, you are completely crazy, and leaves from there. So Siuan comes home and says that something has happened to Minju, she has completely changed, and starts thinking about what she said. And now, feelings for her were also developing in his heart. Here, Hanju is sleeping soundly when her brother's alarm starts ringing, so she wakes up and looking at her brother starts to think, is he really my brother? And then she looks at her mother and thinks, is she my real mother? If so, why don't I feel anything when I see them? Just then her brother wakes up and seeing her having breakfast says, why didn't you wake me up? So she says, I did wake you, but you didn't get up. Anyway, now you are grown up, so do your own work. And also tells him to get his own breakfast. Seeing this, her brother tells their mother, so she says, your sister is right. Now you are grown up, make your own breakfast. So Hanju tells them, I have made soup for you. So her mother says, you are so good, you even made soup for me. You are so good. On the other side, we see Jiang, who is sitting with his grandma and having breakfast. So his grandma asks him, did you find your hearing aid? You said it was lost. So Jiang says, no, I didn't find it, but I am using the old one. On the other side, we see Siuan, who is in class but is still only thinking about Minju. After which he sees Jiang, who is going somewhere after the class ends, so he says to him, are you going to Minju's house? So Jiang says, yes. So Siuan says, I'll go with you too, because the guy who attacked Minju still hasn't been caught. So someone should be with you both so that he can protect you both. After which, they both go to Minju's house. Hanju, seeing them both, says, what are you two doing here? So they both ask her, how is your head now? So she says, my head is very strong. And looking at Siuan, she says, why did you come here? So Siuan says, why don't we investigate about that guy? So she says, the police couldn't catch him, so how can we? So Siuan says, still, we should go to the places where your accident happened and where you were found. After which, the three of them go to the place where Minju's accident happened. So Siuan says, but this place is quite far from where you were found that day. After which, they go to the place where Minju was found unconscious, but even after going there, she doesn't remember anything, and Siuan is just making guesses on his own. So Jiang tells him, please don't make up stories on your own. Let Minju remember. So Hanju again calls Siuan Yuanju. So he says, I am not your dream boyfriend. And Jiang didn't know anything about this, so he doesn't understand what the two of them are talking about. Just then, Hanju ignores Siuan's words and says, I don't remember anything, I'm leaving from here, and goes back home. After which, Jiang stops Siuan and says, what were you two talking about? So Siuan says, you should ask Minju yourself because I didn't understand what she was saying. And saying this, he leaves from there. After which, Jiang comes to drop Hanju at her house and asks her, what was that about the dream? So she tells him everything, after which he starts to confess his feelings, but she tries to stop him. So Jiang tells her, please let me speak today. I have been trying for a long time. Now that I have gathered the courage, let me speak. And tells her, I like you very much, Minju. And says, I have liked you since that one time you went to the rooftop and were crying that you are very lonely. Hearing which, Hanju becomes completely silent. So he tells her, I don't want you to answer me right now. Answer me whenever you feel like it. I will wait for your answer. After which, Hanju comes home and starts writing all this in Minju's diary and writes, today Jiang proposed to me, but I don't understand anything. From Jiang's words, it felt like he was not talking about me, but about the real Minju. And I also didn't understand that dream. Why I saw all that in that dream. In the next scene, Hanju is in Minju's shop, and Siuan and Jiang are also sitting there reading a comic book. So she angrily tells them both, this is my shop, not a place for you guys to read comics. Go and read at your own homes. But it has no effect on either of them, and they both sit comfortably and continue reading the comic. Just then, Siuan stands up holding Minju's uncle's camera. Just then, her uncle comes and takes the camera from Siuan and gives him a slap. And Hanju, also laughing, gives him a slap just like her uncle did. And Jiang is also watching all this. He is not liking all this. Just then, Hanju looks at Jiang and says, I did the right thing, didn't I? So he starts to smile. After which, the uncle also takes a picture of the three of them with the same camera. And Hanju also gives a copy of that photo to Siuan, on the back of which was written, I have many copies of this, you keep one too. And Siuan, looking at her handwriting, says, as lovely as she is, her handwriting is that bad. Here, we see Hanju, who had fallen asleep while listening to songs. Just then, her uncle comes to her and turns off the songs. So she tells them, I was listening to songs. He says, no, you were not listening to songs, you were sleeping. Just then, the police officers come there for questioning, and showing a hearing aid to her, they ask, "This was found at the same place where you were found unconscious." So Hanju, looking at the hearing aid, starts to remember the time of her injury, but she can't see the boy's face clearly, who he was. And just then in 2023, Hanju, who had fallen asleep on the bus with the tape playing, wakes up. So the bus driver tells her, "This is the last stop." Hanju doesn't understand at all whether this was all a dream or reality, but she gets off at the stop and starts going home. And the man who is Siuan is also watching her go, but he doesn't call her. After which, she goes home and opens the chat to message Hanju and sees that all those messages had been read. Seeing which, she calls the number, but no one picks up her call. Just then, she messages him and starts telling him about today's dream, saying, "I don't understand whether this was real or a dream, and now I can't even sleep so that I can see you in my dreams." On the other side, Siuan is crying while reading this message. Just then, Hanju calls him, and he picks it up but doesn't say anything from the other end, just keeps crying. Hanju says, "Yuanju, why aren't you saying anything? Is that you?" But he still doesn't say anything. In the next scene, Siuan goes to Minju's uncle and is telling him everything, saying, "I see Hanju every day. I can't bear her suffering. She also messages and calls me, but I can't even talk to her." So the uncle says, "Yes, she came to me too, but I didn't tell her anything." Here, Hanju is repeatedly calling Yuanju's number, but no one is receiving it. After which, Hanju asks a colleague from her own office to trace the number's location, who at first makes a fuss. But later, when Hanju tells him, "I will give you my 5-star restaurant voucher," he agrees and tells Hanju, "This location is coming up as a cafe named 27 Cafe, and its owner's name is Kwon Minju's uncle." After which, they go to that cafe. But even there, Siuan does not come in front of them and hides upon seeing Hanju. In the next scene, Minju's uncle calls Hanju to meet him. So Hanju goes to meet him and tells the uncle, "This might sound strange to you, but in the dream I saw, I was your niece, Minju." So he tells her, "Really? I also wanted to tell you something. Minju also used to tell me sometimes, I am not Minju, but Hanju. But at that time, I didn't believe her, and that day when I saw you, I remembered that same thing." After which, he gives Hanju the same diary of Minju's, in which Hanju had also written all those things from her time in the past. Reading which, Hanju is shocked because all those things were written in that diary, meaning she had really gone to the past, and Yuanju's name was also written there, but she hadn't written it. Seeing which, she is shocked and says, "I didn't write this, so how did this name get in the diary?" After which, she thinks that if her beloved from the future is not Siuan from the past, then who is he? And she starts listening to the music tape again. After which she reaches 1998, after which she remembers her conversation with Yuanju when Hanju had asked him, "If you got a chance to go to the past, which time would you want to go to?" So he says, "I will go to the time when I first met you." Thinking which, she starts running towards Siuan. After which, she sees Siuan and realizes that this boy is not her Yuanju but Siuan. After which, she comes back to her uncle's shop and starts thinking that according to the year, her Yuanju would only be 11 years old right now. And she gets very frustrated with her time travel. On the other side, Siuan tells Jiang that when Hanju came to him, she was crying. After which, Jiang tells Siuan, "Now you stay away from Minju." And he was saying this because he liked the original Minju. After which, we see Siuan, who feels very bad about what Jiang said, because now he too, somewhere, had started to like Hanju, who was in Minju's body. Here, Hanju thinks that when Yuanju is not here with her, what is she doing in the past? After which, she again tries to go to the future by playing the tape, but is unable to, and she gets very frustrated by this. Here, we see Jiang, who was ignoring Siuan, and Siuan and Jiang also have a fight, after which they stop talking to each other as well. On the other side, Hanju is trying to get out of Minju's body. Just then, she hears a voice outside her house again. She comes to the window and sees that it is Siuan who was calling her. After which, Siuan takes her to a park and tells her that Jiang likes her a lot, and he is just telling all this to her when he sees that she has fallen asleep. Seeing which, now he says, "Now I can talk to you," and confesses his feelings to her. And we find out that Siuan has now fallen in love with this new Minju, which means his first love is indeed Hanju, because ever since she came into Minju's body, Siuan has started to like her. On the other side, the police, during the investigation, show Jiang the hearing aid and start suspecting Jiang, and tell Jiang, "We have seen in the CCTV footage, you went to Minju's house again that night." So Jiang says, "I went that night to say something to Minju." and this device was lost somewhere, after which the police are now keeping an eye on Jung because he was now the main suspect in the case. Here, Hanju remembers what her uncle told her in 2023, that Minju was murdered, and the date he mentioned is only 3 months away. Seeing which, Hanju gets worried and thinks, this means I have to get out of this body soon and go back to the future. Here at school, everyone thinks Jung is the murderer and is harassing him. Just then, Siuan comes there and shoos those boys away. Then he also finds out about the whole matter and is shocked, after which Siuan goes to Minju's house and tells Hanju everything. So, Hanju goes to the police station with Jung and tells them, Jung cannot attack me, and that hearing aid was dropped there by me. Hearing which, they let Jung go. After which, Hanju also helps Siuan and Jung become friends again. But seeing Siuan, Hanju repeatedly felt as if he was Yuanju. After which, she tells some of Yuanju's jokes to Siuan to confirm whether Yuanju and Siuan are the same person or not. But Siuan doesn't understand the jokes at all. But Siuan goes home and is very happy remembering her jokes. Here, Minju's uncle says to Hanju, okay, I'll believe that you are Hanju, but then where is Minju? Hanju doesn't have an answer to this either. Just then, we see Minju, who is trapped in a place and is also listening to all of Hanju's and the uncle's conversations. Then, hearing the uncle's words, she says something to Hanju, which makes Hanju look around. After which, the next day at school, the girls of the class come to Hanju and ask her to play basketball with them, which she agrees to. And Siuan and Jung are surprised to see her playing so well and ask her, you have changed a lot since the accident. So she says, yes, I have changed myself only so that the killer gets attracted to me again, and tells them both, the one who attacked me is someone from this school. On the other side, seeing this new version of Minju, all the boys in the school start to like her, which Siuan did not like at all. So he says to her, you shouldn't talk to everyone like this. Who knows who it was that attacked you? But in reality, he was getting jealous. After which, Siuan goes to Jiang's grandmother's shop, where he meets a little girl who was asking her grandmother for a food item, but she wouldn't get it for her. So Siuan gets it for her from his own pocket, which makes the little girl very happy. Here, Hanju sees her result. Her rank was 131, while Siuan's was 5th and Jung's was 1st. Seeing which, Siuan is very surprised and asks Jung for help with his studies. After which, we again see the little girl who was being troubled by some boys. So, Siuan saves her from those boys. Then the little girl says to Siuan, remember me, we will become friends when we grow up. My name is Hanju. And here we find out that they had met each other in childhood. On the other side, we see a boy outside Minju's house who looks exactly like Chen, and Chen is the same person who was also shown to us in the future. Now, why he was keeping an eye on Minju, we will find out later. The next day, Minju's school bus leaves, and just then, Siuan is also passing by, so she goes to school with Siuan on his bike. And Siuan finds it very different and nice for her to sit with him like this today. Here, Siuan bumps into Chen, where a notebook falls from his hand in which many sketches were made, and in it was a photo of Minju, which Siuan is unable to see. On the other side, Jung is with Hanju and tells her, you have changed a lot. So she says, give me some time. After some time, you will get your Minju back. After which, in school, she is asking Siuan something, when once again she gets that Yuanju feeling. A little while later, a girl hands Siuan a note. After reading it, Siuan says to Jiang, Minju is calling me outside. So Jiang says, yes, then go. Maybe there's some important work. But when Siuan goes there, he finds out that it was not Minju who called him, but a girl from his class, Tanya. And she confesses her feelings to him, but Siuan rejects her by saying that he only loves one girl and will continue to love her always. And Hanju and Jiang are also watching all this. And hearing this, Hanju once again remembers her boyfriend Yuanju's words because he had also said that he loved a girl who was his first love, after which Hanju comes to her class and finds many pictures of herself under her desk. She takes them and goes to Siuan and Jiang. Seeing them, they understand that this is the work of that killer and decide to find him, after which Minju, Jiang, and Siuan go on a picnic with their school, where Hanju and Siuan spend time with each other. And seeing them like this, Jiang understands that now Siuan has also fallen in love with Hanju. And just then, it starts raining, which makes Hanju very happy. And seeing her like this, Siuan feels a different kind of feeling. And he also tells Jiang, I have now fallen in love with Hanju. After which, Jiang tells him, then you should tell this to her. So he says, no, there's no point because I am going to shift to America with my family very soon. And hearing this, Jiang is shocked and also sad. After which, Siuan comes home and repeatedly, he is only thinking about Hanju. Then he makes a painting of her, and this painting was exactly like the one Yuanju had in 2023. Now, how this painting got there, we will find out later. Here, while changing clothes in class, Tanya takes her pictures, and Minju knows nothing about this. Here, Jiang stops talking to Siuan, after which Hanju asks Jiang, "Why are you two not talking to each other?" So he says he is going to America, so it would be better for us to keep a distance from him. After which, she is going home when she sees Siuan. So she tells him, "You should have told Jiang the whole truth so that he would not be angry with you now." Now here, in the course of conversation, Siuan tells Hanju that he has fallen deeply in love with her, which shocks Hanju, and she doesn't give Siuan any answer. The next day, Hanju and Jiang try to find the boy who had made Minju's pictures, but no one knew about him. After which, Hanju tries to make Jiang and Siuan friends and tells them the whole truth. "I am not Minju. I am Hanju, and I have time traveled to the past and come into your friend Minju's body." Which they both think is a joke and say, "We know you are doing all this to make us friends, right?" And their friendship is restored. And seeing this, Hanju says, "If you don't do something soon, your friend will be murdered." But they both are still laughing at her time travel story. After which, Jiang and Siuan are talking to each other, because they had also noticed the change in her behavior and they too are now starting to believe Hanju's time travel story. Just then, Jiang tells Siuan, "I don't like this, Hanju. I loved the real Minju. If you want, you can love Hanju now." And hearing this, Siuan becomes quite happy. Here, Tanya comes to the school at night and starts putting up Minju's pictures on the board. Just then, her friend goes out for some work, and someone puts a hand over Tanya's mouth and takes her with them. When her friend comes back, Tanya is not there, so she thinks that maybe she has gone home, and she also goes home. After which, the next morning, Tanya's body is found in the classroom, and Hanju also overhears Tanya's friends talking that they had come at night to put up the pictures of Minju changing her dress in the classroom. Now, when Siuan comes to school, he finds out that a girl has been murdered in the class. So he remembers what Hanju said when she said, "Your friend will be murdered," remembering which, he gets very worried and runs inside. Just then, Jiang tells him, "Minju is completely fine. Nothing has happened to her." Just then, Hanju arrives. After which, the three of them go to Siuan's house and she tells them, "Tanya was the one who took my pictures." And they all realize that the one who attacked Minju must have been the one who murdered Tanya. After which, Hanju starts looking at his books in Siuan's house, and just then, she finds the same painting that she had seen at Yuanju's place in 2023. And seeing this, she is shocked and thinks that it must be that Yuanju and Siuan are the same person. Just then, Hanju's eyes open in 2023. So she runs to Minju's uncle and tells him, "Are Yuanju and Siuan the same man?" And just then, the man she knew as Yuanju arrives there, seeing whom Hanju just starts crying and says, "Who are you?" Just then, Siuan starts telling her the whole truth. And in a flashback, we see the year 2002 when Siuan returns from America, and we find out that after Minju's murder, he had gone to America and has now returned. After which, he goes to jail to meet Jiang, but he refuses to meet him. There, we also find out that the police believe Minju's murderer was Jiang, but why he confessed, we will find out later. After which, Siuan is going home sitting on a bus and is listening to the tape recording given by Hanju, and just then his bus has an accident. After which, Siuan's eyes open, and in front of him were a woman and a girl who were calling him Yuanju, meaning just as Hanju had reached Minju's body. In the same way, Siuan had also come from 2002 to 2007 into the body of a boy named Yuanju. And Siuan doesn't understand at all how he came to the year 2007 and why these people are calling him Yuanju. After which, the real Yuanju's sister tells him, "You were going somewhere in a car with your friend when you had an accident." So Siuan thinks to himself, "How is this possible? Because I was sitting on the bus when my accident happened, so how did I get here?" After which, he comes home and starts thinking about the day Minju was murdered and Jiang was sitting next to Minju and had said to Siuan, "I killed Minju." And thinking about all this, Siuan becomes very sad. After which, he goes to Minju's uncle's shop, who is very happy to see him. Just then, he tells him the whole truth and says, "I am Siuan, but right now, I am in Yuanju's body." Hearing which, Minju's uncle is surprised and says, "This means Minju was telling the truth about time travel." And Siuan tells him, "Do you know what happened to me after my accident in 2002? So he says, "No, I couldn't find out where you went after the accident." After which, they both become sad, thinking, if we had believed Hanju at that time, Minju would be alive today. After which, he goes home and starts looking for Hanju and finds out that Hanju is currently studying in a college. After which, we see the real Yuanju, who has an accident and gets very injured, and just then Siuan's consciousness had entered his body. Here, Yuanju makes a painting of Hanju exactly like the one he had made in the past, from which we find out how he got that painting. After which, he decides to live Yuanju's life and, after getting very good marks in the exam, also gets admission into Hanju's college and proposes to her there. And here we find out that Hanju already had a boyfriend, with whom Hanju leaves from there, which makes Siuan feel very bad. After which, he meets a boy named Chen, and he also becomes a very good friend of his. After which, he takes Siuan to a restaurant to introduce him to his friends. And this was the same restaurant where Hanju worked. She sees Siuan and says, "Are you following me?" He says, "No, I just came here to meet my friends." After which, he starts waiting for Hanju right outside the restaurant. Just then, Hanju comes out with her boyfriend, which he doesn't like at all. After which, Siuan remembers that Hanju had told him in the past that she and her boyfriend had first met in a cafe where they both worked. After which, he also starts working at the same cafe where Hanju worked. And Hanju, seeing him, says, "Now I am sure that you are following me." So he says, "No, I am not following you. And if you don't believe me, I'll quit the job." But Hanju says, "No, I am not so selfish as to make someone lose their job because of me." After which, she tells Siuan, "But working here is not easy. You will soon get fed up because this work is not easy." And that was the truth. Siuan was having a lot of trouble working here, but still, for the sake of Hanju's love, he endures all the difficulties. After which, Minju's uncle calls the real Siuan in the year 2007 and tells him that the Siuan in Yuanju's body has started meeting Hanju. And here we find out that the older Siuan's plan was to bring the younger Siuan into Yuanju's body and have him meet Hanju. Now the story goes to 2006, where Jiang is released from prison, and now Siuan meets him, and this was the real, older Siuan. Now here we find out that when Yuanju had his accident in 2023, the older Siuan had returned to his own body, and this older Siuan knew everything. After which, he and Jiang sit together and drink, and Siuan tells him, "After the accident, my leg was damaged, but now I have a good job and everything is fine." So Jiang tells him, "I had killed Minju, so aren't you angry with me?" So Siuan says, "I know you didn't kill Minju, you are lying, so I don't hate you." After which, Siuan goes home, and he has stuck many pictures and notes on a wall. And here we find out that he is making some plan to bring Minju back to life. Now the story goes back to 2007, where Hanju stops being annoyed with Siuan. Because of his caring nature, she was now starting to like him a little. Just then, a girl in the restaurant tells them that her friend needs help. So Siuan tells her, "Then you should go." After which, he remembers Minju's uncle's words, "Jiang will commit suicide in 2006. So he goes alone and starts crying. And Hanju sees this and tells him, "If something is making you sad, you can tell me." And here their friendship also begins. After which, it's Hanju's birthday, so she plans to have a party, but her boss calls and calls her to work. After which, she becomes sad. So Siuan says, "Don't be sad. You go party with your friends. I will do your share of the work." And he goes to do her share of the work. After which, Hanju also comes there after finishing the party, and they both finish the work together. And just then, Siuan tells her, "You wait here, I'll be back," and goes to get a cake for her. But as soon as he brings the cake, Hanju is not there, and his boss tells him that she has left, which makes Siuan sad. Here, Hanju comes to her boyfriend and catches him with another girl. After which, she breaks up with him and leaves from there. Just then, she remembers that she forgot her wallet at the cafe, so she goes back, where Siuan was celebrating her birthday alone. Seeing which, she celebrates her birthday with Siuan and also tells him about her breakup, which makes Siuan happy because now Hanju could be his girlfriend. Just then, Hanju tells him that in her childhood, she met a boy when she was asking her grandmother for something, and that boy got it for her and also saved her from boys who were bothering her. "I told that boy then to remember my name. We will be friends, but now who knows where he is." So Siuan understands that this is the same Hanju that he had met in 1998, meaning she had been fond of him since childhood. Hanju tells him that she had once seen her then-boyfriend helping children, and that's when she had made him her boyfriend. After which, Hanju is having dinner with her friend when her friend starts telling her about Siuan and says, "He rejected a girl's proposal and said that he only loves one girl and will continue to do so." Just then, the thought comes to Hanju's mind that if she makes Siuan her boyfriend, he will never cheat on her. Then she goes to Siuan, where he once again tells her his feelings, so she makes an excuse and leaves from there. But the truth was that she was now also getting attracted to Siuan, after which one day, Hanju says to Siuan, "Don't address me formally, you can call me by my name now." After which, the next day at school, Hanju's friend tells Siuan that Hanju didn't come to school today because she is sick, after which Siuan goes to meet her and finds her lying unconscious in her house. So Siuan picks her up and takes her to the doctor and takes great care of her, which Hanju likes very much, and she confesses her feelings to Siuan. Hearing which, at first, Siuan doesn't believe it, but then he also becomes happy and hugs her. The story now goes to 2006, where Jiang's grandmother dies, seeing which Jiang and the older Siuan cry a lot, and at night they drink, and Jiang says, "Now I will start a new life and live like ordinary people." But we all know that he was lying, after which Siuan gets drunk and sleeps, and when he wakes up, Jiang was not there. So he understands that he has gone to the place of Minju's murder, and he runs there, where Jiang falls down in front of his eyes, and he is unable to save him, and cries a lot, although he knew beforehand that all this was going to happen. Now the story goes back to 2007, where Siuan and Hanju had fallen deeply in love with each other. They had started living together, and here we find out how Hanju fell in love with the man she knew as Yuanju, the rest of which story we know. Hanju will go out of the country, and when Siuan is going to meet her, he will die. After which, Hanju time travels into Minju's body, and there she meets the younger Siuan. Here the story goes back to 2024, where we find out that the person we all thought was Yuanju is actually the time-traveled Siuan. After meeting him, Hanju is very happy and also brings him back home. Just then, Siuan tells her, "Before, when I was coming to New York to meet you, I had an accident, but this time something different has happened." Now the story goes back to the past, when Siuan, in Yuanju's body, is about to board the flight. But just then the real, older Siuan comes there and tells him, "Don't get on this flight because as soon as you get on the flight, you will go back to 2002. And tells him, "When I took this flight, I woke up in 2002, and my one leg was also damaged, which is now healed after a lot of effort." And hearing this, Siuan becomes very sad, thinking, "I will never be able to meet Hanju again." The scene shifts from here to 2023, where Siuan tells Hanju, "Before, when I had that accident, I didn't know anything, but now that the older me told me that I was going to have an accident, the real Yuanju gave me his phone, and some of your things, and the music tape that he gave me changed everything, and you were able to go to the past and find out everything." After which, he gives her her birthday gift, which was a ring. Seeing it, she becomes very happy, and they start kissing. After which, Hanju says to Siuan, "Jiang was blamed for Minju's murder, and then he also committed suicide in 2006. If somehow I can go to the past and save Minju, then none of this will happen. Neither will Minju die, nor will Jiang commit suicide. But how can that happen?" So Siuan says, "You have to go into Minju's body and stay alive until the day of her murder." After which, Hanju tries to go to the past by listening to the same tape, but she is unable to. After which, they go to Minju's uncle, and all three of them thought Jiang could never murder Minju because he loved Minju. After which, they decide, "We will find the real killer." After which, Siuan goes to his school where his teacher recognizes him. And just then, Siuan asks them, "Was anyone else murdered here after Minju and Tanya?" So he says, "No, I don't remember anything like that." After which, he tells Siuan, "Yes, I remember. After the murder of Minju and Tanya, we found out that there is a psycho student in our school, so we have sent him to a mental hospital." After which, Siuan starts looking for that student's ID. Here, Hanju is studying the murder cases of Minju and Tanya. Just then, Chen comes there and asks her, "What are you reading all this for?" So she tells him everything and says, "I time traveled to 1998 into the body of Minju, who looks exactly like me," and tells the whole story. And hearing all this, Chen's reaction was very strange. He says, "This is all nonsense, now don't read all this." So she says, "No, now I have decided that I will go to 1998, catch that killer, and also save Minju from dying." Here, Siuan finds out that the psycho student is none other than Chen's older brother, seeing which he quickly starts to go to Hanju to tell her everything. Here, Chen is thinking about his childhood and how he wanted to kill Minju. Here we find out that the real killer was not Chen's brother but Chen himself, after which Chen starts listening to the music tape, and he also reaches 1998 in his brother's body. Just then, Hanju comes there and wakes him up. So he tells her, "Oh, I fell asleep and I had reached 1998 in my brother's body." So Hanju says, "Then did you find out who the killer is?" Just then, he shows Hanju his psycho side, takes the tape from her, and attacks her. After which, we see a previous scene in which Chen goes to 1998 in his brother's body. And this was the same time when Minju's accident was about to happen, and Chen's brother saves her from the accident. After which, Chen comes into his body, so he takes her to a deserted place where he tries to kill Minju. But just then in 2023, Hanju wakes him up, so he is unable to kill Minju, meaning the real killer was Chen himself, who was going from 2023 to 1998 and killing people. Now, in the present time, Chen is about to kill Hanju when Siuan arrives, so Chen hides. But Siuan sees him and, seeing the tape recording with him, understands everything. But he attacks him too and kills him, after which he takes the tape recorder and Minju's diary and runs away from there. After which, he goes home and again goes to 1998 by listening to the tape and throws Jiang's earpiece near Minju so that the blame falls on him. But we know that didn't happen. Here, Siuan also dies, which made Hanju very sad, and she cries a lot. But now, she didn't even have the tape recording to go to the past, so she decides to find Chen and decides to change everything. After which, she asks Minju's uncle, was there anyone in the future who looked like Chen? So he tells her, yes, that was Chen's older brother, and he is now in a mental hospital. After which, they both go to meet him, and Hanju asks him about Minju's murder. So he says, I could see the murder happening, but I don't know who killed her. After which, Hanju is now confirmed and thinks Chen was time traveling into his brother's body and killing everyone. Here, Chen plays the tape and goes to the past and kills Tanya. After which, he is about to kill Minju when in 2023 the police find him and wake him up, which is why he is unable to kill Minju. After which, seeing the police, he breaks those recordings so that Hanju cannot go to the past. After which, the police show her the broken recording, and she becomes very sad and starts hitting Chen. Just then, Chen tells her, I didn't kill Minju, it was you who killed her. So Hanju doesn't understand what he means, how she could kill Minju. After which, she gets the tape recorder fixed from a shop and again tries to go to the past. After which, she arrives in 1998 at the point where she had seen the painting in Siuan's house. After which, she sees Siuan, hugs him, and starts crying. Siuan doesn't understand anything, so he tells her, come on, I'll drop you home. After which, he drops her home and says, from now on, I will stay around you because that killer can attack you anytime. After which, she comes to the room and looks in the mirror, and we find out that Hanju has come into Minju's body, but she is just trapped in one place and can see everything, while the real Minju now has full control over her body. Here, Minju starts thinking that she has to live like Hanju. Only then will Siuan continue to love her, and she tries to become like Hanju because now everyone had started to like her, who previously didn't even talk to Minju. So she decides that from now on, she will only act like Hanju. After which, at school, the police come to question Minju again, but now Minju is not able to answer them well like Hanju. Seeing which, the officer tells her, you seem very different today. Hearing which, Minju understands that she is not able to copy Hanju. After which, she starts talking to Hanju in the mirror and says, everyone only likes you. That's why I also want to be like you. After which, Hanju tells her, you should tell Siuan and Zhang everything as soon as possible, otherwise you will be murdered. But Minju doesn't pay much attention to her words and ignores Hanju's words. After which, she comes out, and Siuan and Zhang ask her, what did the police say to you? So she says, nothing. They just told me not to be alone. After which, Siuan goes to drop her home and gives her a gift, which makes Minju very happy because no one had ever given her a gift before today. After which, the three of them go for a walk and have a lot of fun. Minju is having a lot of fun being Hanju. After which, Siuan tells her, now I am not going to America with my parents but will stay with you. Hearing which, she becomes very happy. But after some time, Siuan realizes that this Minju is no longer the same as she was after the accident, and he also tells Zhang. So Zhang says, yes, I recognize the real Minju, and this is the real Minju who has come back. And Minju secretly overhears all this, from which she finds out that her cover is now blown. After which, Minju is at her shop when Chen's brother comes there, in whose body Chen was at the time, and he tells Minju, I know that you are not Hanju but Minju. So she gets scared and starts closing the shop and leaving. Just then, Siuan arrives there, and thus she is saved. After which, Siuan takes her to a park and says, what did we talk about the last time we came here? Because he wanted to confirm whether this was Hanju or not, because he had now come to believe what Hanju had told him. So Minju says, we talked about you going to America. So he says, no, we talked about Hanju and Yuanju for the first time. And here he finds out that Hanju has now left Minju's body. Just then, Minju tells him, actually, there is no Hanju. This was all just a story of mine, so that you would fall in love with me. Hearing which, Siuan is completely broken because he had really fallen in love with Hanju. After which, everyone starts telling Minju, you have changed, go back to how you were before. And Siuan also stops talking to her, which makes Minju hate Hanju, thinking everyone only likes her. after which Minju starts having thoughts of dying and goes to the school roof and is about to commit suicide when she starts talking to herself. If I commit suicide, people will forget me, but if someone murders me, I will be remembered by everyone for a long time. And Hanju, trapped inside her body, also hears all this, and now she understands the meaning of Chen's words and thinks, Minju wants to die because of me, after which she tells her not to do so. And on the other side, Jiang, who is watching Minju, reads her lips and understands she is talking to Hanju, meaning Minju had lied. Hanju really exists, and he also finds out that Minju is going to die, after which he runs there. But before he can get there, Minju leaves, after which he comes to Siuan and tells him the whole truth. Minju lied to us. The truth is that Hanju really exists, after which they both go out to find Minju. Here, Minju takes Chen's brother to a deserted place and says, "Kill me." So Chen's brother, in whose body Chen had come, is about to kill her when in 2023 the police catch Chen, which is why he is unable to kill Minju. And Chen's brother runs away from there in fear, after which Jiang comes there and Minju crying says to him, "Kill me. I don't want to live. I am very lonely." So Jiang tells her, "Give me a chance. I love you very much." But she thinks Jiang's words are a lie. After which, Minju jumps from the building and takes her own life, and Jiang is unable to save her, and she dies. And just then, Hanju's eyes open again in 2023, and despite trying again and again, she is not able to go back. Here, Siuan comes to Jiang and sees Minju and asks Jiang, "How did all this happen?" So he says, "I killed Minju." And here we find out that he said this because he had read Minju's lips that day and knew she had thought, if I was murdered, people would remember me. So just for this reason, he took the blame on himself, thinking, this way, everyone will remember Minju. After which the police take Jiang away, and he is sentenced. Here, Hanju tries again and again, but the recordings are still not playing. Just then, she sits in her car and tries once more, and then the recordings start playing on their own, and she reaches Minju's body, and her eyes open just when Minju was about to jump. And then Hanju is very happy to see Jiang in front of her. But just then, her foot slips, and she is about to fall when Jiang grabs her hand and saves her. And just then, Siuan also arrives there. So Hanju tells them everything and says, now that Minju has been saved, everything will change. So Siuan says, then how will I meet you? So she says, now maybe we won't be able to meet. Hearing which, Siuan becomes very sad. After which, she goes home and, standing in front of the mirror, starts to explain to Minju, saying, now after I leave, don't try to die because I won't come back. And I can understand that you are very lonely and started thinking about dying. You have placed too many expectations on people, that's why you were sad. Learn to be happy with what you have. And hearing all this, Minju also understands and thinks, I was making a mistake. After which, Hanju gives the tape recordings to Jiang and says, destroy these. So Jiang says, then you will never be able to come here. So she says, if you destroy them, then Siuan and I will forget each other. After which, she goes for a walk on the beach with Siuan for the last time, where they both spend a very good time with each other. And Siuan tells her, I know you gave that recording to Jiang to destroy, but I promise that I will definitely find you in the future. After which, Jiang burns those recordings, and just then, Hanju also disappears from there and returns to 2023, where she sees Siuan's photo on her phone, but all her memories of Siuan disappear. Here, all of Minju's memories of Siuan also disappear, and they both forget each other. Here we see Minju, who had an accident and was in the hospital, and Jiang was with her. After which, in the next scene, she tells Jiang, I don't know why, but since my accident, life has started to feel a little better. After which Jiang again confesses his feelings to her, and this time Minju does not reject him. Here in 2007, Siuan, after completing his studies, has now started his own business, and just then he sees Hanju on the bus. And seeing Hanju, he feels something different, so he gets off the bus with her and stops her. And here we find out that the promise Siuan had made to Hanju in the past, I will find you, he has fulfilled it. And with this, our story comes to an end.